The CEO thought she was watching a desperate man drawing meaningless circles on the floor of her private jet hangar. She had no idea that those 3 simple circles would reveal the one thing her entire team had missed for months. 7 minutes later, when the silent mechanic's hands touched the engine, the machine that had failed every expert suddenly came back to life, changing not only her flight plans but the life of a man everyone had ignored. Before we begin this inspiring story, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and giving people the opportunity to prove their worth, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel, Beyond Single Dad. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories like this. The morning sun was bright over the private aviation hangar, shining through the giant glass doors and reflecting across the polished floor. Inside the luxury aircraft facility, the most expensive private jet in the company's fleet sat motionless. The powerful engine that once carried the CEO across continents had become a symbol of frustration. Engineers, technicians, and specialists had spent weeks trying to find the problem, but every test showed something different. At the center of the chaos stood Marissa Vale, the young and successful CEO of a global technology company. She was known for her intelligence, confidence, and ability to solve impossible business challenges. But that morning, even she felt defeated. A major international meeting was waiting for her, and missing the flight could cost her company millions. Around her, a group of experienced aviation experts examined reports and argued over possible solutions. Everyone had an opinion, but nobody had an answer. Near the entrance of the hangar, a quiet man in an old blue mechanic uniform watched everything from a distance. His name was Kieran Holt. He was not one of the senior engineers. He was only a maintenance worker who handled basic repairs and cleaning tasks. Most people walked past him without noticing. Kieran had spent years working around aircraft, but life had not been kind to him. After losing his wife and becoming the only parent to his young daughter, he had accepted a simple job to keep food on the table. He had once dreamed of becoming an aviation engineer, but circumstances forced him to put those dreams aside. That morning, while everyone focused on expensive equipment and complicated reports, Kieran noticed something unusual. He looked carefully at the engine, listened to the small changes in sound, and studied the patterns others ignored. He slowly walked closer. Some people looked surprised that he was even approaching the aircraft. They expected him to stay in his place. But Kieran did not come with arrogance. He came with curiosity. Marissa noticed him and watched quietly as he walked toward the engine area. Instead of touching anything, he looked at the floor beneath the aircraft. Then something unexpected happened. Kieran kneeled down and picked up a small piece of chalk from a nearby toolbox. With a calm expression, he drew 3 circles on the hangar floor. The entire room became silent. The circles were simple, but they represented something only a person with deep understanding would recognize. Each circle showed a different point connected to the engine's behavior. Kieran studied the distance between them, the marks on the ground, and the direction of small oil traces that had gone unnoticed. Some workers laughed quietly, thinking he was wasting time. But Marissa did not laugh. She saw something different in his eyes. She saw someone who was not guessing. She saw someone remembering. Kieran carefully compared the circles with the engine position and moved toward a hidden section that others had overlooked. He explained that the issue was not a major engine failure. The problem was connected to a small alignment issue that was causing the entire system to react incorrectly. The senior engineers checked his observation. At first, they were doubtful. But after several minutes of testing, they realized the quiet mechanic had found something their advanced equipment had failed to notice. 7 minutes after Kieran drew those 3 circles, the engine started. The powerful sound filled the hangar. Everyone stopped moving. The machine that had remained silent for weeks roared back to life under the daylight streaming through the open doors. The same people who had ignored Kieran moments earlier now looked at him with complete disbelief. Marissa walked toward him, but this time she did not see a maintenance worker. She saw a talented person who had been hidden behind a difficult life. Kieran did not celebrate like a hero. He simply looked at the engine with relief. For him, it was never about proving people wrong. It was about solving a problem. Marissa later learned about his past. She discovered that Kieran had completed advanced aviation training years earlier but had stepped away from his career to care for his family. His knowledge had never disappeared. It was simply waiting for someone to recognize it. She offered him a position in her company's engineering division, but more importantly, she gave him something he had lost for years: confidence. Months later, Kieran became one of the most respected people in the aviation department. He helped train young technicians and reminded everyone that talent does not always come with a perfect resume or a fancy title. For Marissa, the experience changed the way she saw leadership. She realized that sometimes the greatest solutions come from the people standing quietly in the background. A person's value is not measured by their position, their clothes, or their past mistakes. It is measured by their heart, their effort, and their willingness to keep going when life becomes difficult. The 3 circles drawn on the hangar floor were eventually cleaned away, but the lesson they represented stayed forever. They became a reminder that every person has a story, and sometimes the person everyone overlooks is the person who has the answer everyone needs. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Beyond Single Dad. Your engagement helps these meaningful stories reach more people who believe in hope, kindness, and second chances. Before the ending, please comment, "I believe in second chances," if you think everyone deserves an opportunity to show their true potential. Because sometimes, the person standing quietly in the corner is not someone to ignore. Sometimes, they're the one who can restart the engine that everyone else gave up on.